So now today we're going to discuss a little bit more about the Sustainable Development MSc, but I also wanted to highlight the fact that there are actually 4 online degrees offered by Sussex, just so you're aware. Starting off with Sustainable Development, it is the flagship MSc of the online courses. It has had close to 600 students join globally. 600 students is a really good number. It's really shown that it's a very popular course to join. And it launched in September 2018. So it's been online for close to 3 years now. So it's really running strong. And around 20 of those students on the course are from Japan. I've actually helped several applicants successfully enroll into the course from Japan. So I do know some of the questions and organizations that I'll touch on a little bit later on where students are coming from. And the next course, it's Energy Policy MSc. It's almost like the sister program to Sustainable Development. That's because there are several modules that overlap. The main difference is that the course obviously focuses a bit more specifically on energy and typically has those who are joining from the oil and gas or related industries who are really looking to specialize. That course has had around 150 students globally since it launched. There's also international marketing, which is a different field, but also quite interesting in its own right that it's delivered online. It's a great course as well. And then we also really have seen some great strength in the corruption and governance course where it's really starting to pick up. And this is a really niche sector, but you're learning from some great academics at Sussex and the university and gaining some really strong networks around the world. Okay. But now we're going to dive into the Sustainable Development course and what you're going to be learning in a bit more detail. So to begin with, there are 4 main learning aims that you'll expect to get out as a student in the course. And the first one that we can see here is to develop a critical understanding needed to address the world's sustainability challenges. These are very complex and varied, as I'm sure we're all aware of. And we know that there are these 17 Sustainable Development Goals set out by the United Nations. Which is where the course really was inspired by. So the goals recognize that ending poverty and other deprivations must go hand in hand with strategies to improve health, which is important now, health and education, reduce inequality, and spur economic growth, all while tackling climate change and working to preserve the oceans and forests. So needless to say, it's complicated. And also, as COVID has taken over the global stage, each of these goals have greatly been affected by COVID. And this course is going to dive into that as well. And the academics are actively producing research that relate to this and what COVID is having an impact on. So ultimately, this course is really going to help you develop that critical understanding needed really to address today's challenges that are happening now. So next is going to be understanding the role of science and technology in these transformations, because it does have a huge hand in this. You're really going to delve into the relationship between science and technology and innovation, and really their collective relationship with energy production and policy, also including some more broad subjects like economics. Another great thing is you're going to achieve an interdisciplinary understanding of sustainability. I'll touch more on that in the next slide, but this course really does take curriculum from 3 different schools within Sussex, which is a really great aspect. So you're going to be learning from the Science Policy Research Unit, the Institute of Development Studies, and finally the School of Global Studies. And then finally, upon graduation, I think, most importantly, students who graduate from this course are really going to be well prepared to tackle some of the most pressing sustainability challenges facing the world today. So talking about the unique interdisciplinary approach. So this course does offer a uniquely cross-sectoral and interdisciplinary approach, drawing upon the expertise of these three prestigious research units. So the first one, Science Policy Research Unit, most commonly known as SPRU, S-P-R-U. It's the largest academic body in the world, studying science, technology, and innovation. So let me say that one more time. It's actually the largest academic body in the world studying science, technology, and innovation. So that's just a really great network to be part of. SPRU is really well known. It's something that, you know, when you're looking for jobs or talking to those in the field, they typically will understand and know SPRU, which is quite exciting that you have access to that in the online environment. The next one is the Institute of Development Studies. It's a global research and learning organization for equitable and sustainable change. And then the last one is the School of Global Studies, which is the international hub at the heart of Sussex, where research addresses the most pressing and global issues of our time. So by learning from these three different research units, you're going to gain an all-encompassing perspective for the interconnections involved in the key sustainability issues. And I really do recommend, you know, after this webinar that you do take some time to look into these schools to see the type of research that's coming out now and what's come out previously, so that you can look at it and see how it relates to your own personal goals as well as your professional goals. And this slide deck will be shared with you as well, so you'll have access to go back and reference these. So now I'd like to go through the course structure and the fee breakdown. So no matter what course you do online with us, the course structure and the fees are going to be the same. But the course runs in something called a carousel model. And I'll give you a visual demonstration of that in the next slide. But the master's degree is going to be broken down into a total of 12 modules. And based on the structure of these modules, students are only allowed to take one module at a time. That means that a student can complete the master's degree in a minimum of 2 years or a maximum of 4. So although you can't speed the course up, there is the option to slow it down a little bit if needed. You know, I've worked with students who, you know, ended up joining onto the course because it was a convenient time in their life. But then they had a work commitment come up, or some people have had personal commitments like weddings, babies, other things, and they knew they weren't going to be able to fully commit, so they took a break and then rejoined at a better time. So you can spread that out to 4 years if it's needed. But because this is master's level coursework, it is recommended that students commit on average 20 hours per week, completing the various activities. So this commitment of 20 hours per week will be throughout the module, which is 7 weeks long. It can be done in your own time, however. So whether it's better for you to work on the activities in the early mornings or the weekends, it's up to you. But there will be deadlines throughout the modules on a weekly basis that you'll need to complete to stay on track. And when I did my online master's, you know, thinking about it, it really varied week to week. Some days I would complete the activities in the middle of the week if work was a bit slow. And then sometimes I would complete it on the weekend. But each week I had to spend a dedicated amount of time working on those activities. Another great thing is that there are also live webinars. So you can attend these sessions with faculty members as well as your peers who are on the course as well. They're all optional to attend, and they are recorded. It is highly encouraged that you make them because it's really invaluable to connect with your academics and your peers if you can. But we understand there's many life commitments that come up, so everything is recorded. And also a question people tend to ask is, what time are they? But we don't know in advance. It really depends on the academic schedule, as well as they look to see where the classmates are located before they create those webinar times. And I'll talk about that a little bit later on. But I am confident that with Japan and the UK, the times are, you know, they do have an overlap. So it should be pretty convenient for you to join some of those sessions. So another thing, keep in mind, each module is 7 weeks long. There is a week or two break in between, so you get a bit of a breather. But that will just depend on when it falls within the calendar year, whether it's 1 week or 2. And again, keep in mind that 20 hours commitment will need to be held throughout each of those weeks of the 7-week module. Finally, the benefit of the structure being on a module basis is that the fees are also paid on a module by module basis. So you are paying as you learn. However, you do have the option to pay all at first if that's something you'd like to do as well. So the total fee for the whole master's degree is £11,750. But that can be broken down to a modular payment so that the first 11 modules are £980. And then that final 12th module is £970. So that's just a bit how that works. Okay. So now, I talked about the structure a bit. Now this is the visualization, and we're going to go into the modules that you'll study. So as you can see here, the course consists of 12 15-credit modules. They're broken down into foundations, applications, and integration. So in the foundation modules that you see here, you're going to cover science, technology, and innovation, sustainable development, politics and policies, policy analysis, and understanding the policy process. So depending on which intake you're interested in joining, you could be joining on any of these modules. It depends on when it's offered at that point in time. But you'll need to complete the set of 4 modules as foundation level before you then can progress on. So, these are the application modules, the second set of 4. And as you can see here, this is where you're really going to start to build in other modules from the School of Global Studies that you can see in globalization and the environment, and also from the Institute of Development Studies with key perspectives in international development. You'll also begin a research methods module in perspectives, methods, and skills, where you're going to engage with the history of ideas within the field of sustainable development. So you're going to dive a bit deeper into human development, globalization, development policy, international aid, and so forth. So it really is an exciting module. And then the final set of 4 modules are going to be the integration modules. So this is where you're going to start to put everything together that you've learned so far in practical and commercial ways. You'll be taking innovation for sustainability, decolonizing knowledge for sustainable development, which takes a look at the global south. You'll also look at critical issues in sustainability, and that's from the Institute of Development Studies. And then you'll be looking at market-based solutions for sustainable development, which really does analyze the critical issues, trends, and problems within market-based approaches. So these are the 12 modules that you will be studying. They're all very fascinating and have a unique set of activities and learning outcomes that you'll have within each of those. Also keep in mind that within each module, you're going to be in a class size with 1 academic and about 20 classmates. So the class size will always stay quite intimate in size, where you're really going to be able to learn and engage with those classmates and academic from all over the world. With the peer-to-peer learning activities, virtual webinars, academic office hours, they're really great ways to connect with other professionals in the industry and globally. I do find that people who are doing their courses online are really eager to stay connected and to reach out and to ask for help with their peers, so that they can learn from what they're doing with others. And when I did my master's online, I know it was the same. We took things kind of offline in our own ways, and we WhatsApped each other and had our own calls and own meetings, and really engaged in ways to the point where we're still in contact today and share ideas professionally and also personally. So now we're going to look at the learning activities. So this will hopefully give you an idea of what to expect as you're doing those assignments on a weekly basis throughout the module. So the learning activities for the Sustainable Development MSc have been carefully selected to inform and educate you on the key issues within contemporary sustainable practice. Also to prepare you to meet these challenges professionally after graduation. It takes an applied learning approach where you can directly apply what you're learning from the curriculum into your own role. It's really wanting you to put what you're learning into practice so that you can be better at your job or really what your future job might be. So these activities are going to include assigned readings. These are all accessible through the online platform, available in both online and offline format. So if you needed to download any readings to read, if you're out of Wi-Fi range or out somewhere else, you can have those downloaded to read at a later time. The next one, as I mentioned before, are going to be the live webinars. So these live webinars are live classroom style discussions supervised by an experienced academic and conducted using a webcam. There are typically 3 live sessions per module. They are recorded, as I said before, if you aren't able to attend, but we do think these are really great ways for you to connect with others. There'll also be online discussion forums, which I'm sure you're all very familiar with. This is going to be where you provide a written answer on several responses to a question or topic or a case study that's set out by the module tutor. This is going to be, you can think of something like LinkedIn where you're commenting on different posts. Next, there'll be a variety of various videos that you'll watch throughout as well. This is going to include interviews with experts on the subject matter that you're covering, but it will also include briefings for individual and group tasks and assessments. There will be interactive exercises. So you will have multiple choice questions and short answer questions, but these are really just going to be to check your understanding. For the most part, most of them are not graded. I'll talk about what is graded in the next slide, but these short multiple choice tests and short answer tests are really for comprehension check. And then finally, there are journals that you'll be writing throughout. These are primarily reflective journals so that it's going to allow you to think about your ongoing learning experience to really develop and improve as a learner. That's one thing the university really highlights is that reflective learning. Again, these activities will need to be completed at the assigned dates to really make sure that you stay on track on that week-to-week basis. And so if you do that, you should be set to really progress through the course appropriately. Okay, so importantly now, how are you going to be graded? So the various learning assessments are carried out on a modular basis, so they will vary. So not all module will be the same in terms of how you're graded. Typically, there are not the traditional exams, and there's definitely no requirement to be on campus for the purposes of assessment. But you will have more smaller and more regular assessment activities throughout the modules. This is really a great way to maintain that comprehension check and to really take what you're learning from the activities and apply it immediately to your assessments. So it's really going to be quite regular to help keep you engaged and to get that feedback from the academic team. Again, the course does not contain traditional exams, and there's no dissertation. That's a question that a few people have asked as well. So the reason that there's no dissertation is because as you're working on these regular assessment activities, most of these will be research-based. So you're going to be getting that consistent and regular feedback from your academic team who are guiding those modules. And faculty really do feel that this ongoing research activity and feedback is going to more than adequately provide you with those skills and knowledge needed in the research capacity. So it should still allow you to progress on to a PhD later on if that's something that you should choose. And also, each module is regularly being reviewed and updated with the most up-to-date research. So specific learning activities aren't shared in advance of enrollment because it is regularly updated. Now a little bit about the learning experience in the online format. So depending on what your experience is before, do keep in mind that for our online courses, they were really thoughtfully designed to be delivered in an online capacity so that there's a high level of interaction and engagement throughout the online portal called Canvas. And most students really are pleasantly surprised with the high level of quality that they have when joining the courses. So I think really, the first thing about an online program is that, one of the main benefits is the level of flexibility. You have 24/7 access to the content and can complete assignments at a time that really suits your life. If travel were to resume, which hopefully it will, you can complete this course from anywhere in the world without having to commute to a physical campus. We actually do have many students in the UK and some who are actually close to campus down in Brighton who choose the online program so that they can complete the course from the convenience of their own home and also complete it around their busy working schedules. I've also had students who started the course in Japan and then they've had to move to another country so that they could still continue on to the course without any major disruption. The student that I had who moved countries, they just took 2 modules off and then got started when they were ready to pick back up again. So it's something that is possible. I think I stopped that. Another thing is that you're going to have a student success advisor, which is a really great benefit that I'll talk about in the next slide. And then the last one is that you're really going to have that, direct engagement with faculty, module and course leaders, and also the peer-to-peer learning through a global student body. Okay, so the student success team. The student success team is just that additional layer of support that you're going to get in addition to the academic side of things. Each student is assigned a student success advisor when they join onto the course. You can almost think of them as like your own personal coach. They really are there to help support you. So when you are accepted to join onto the course, you will arrange a one-on-one welcome call with your student support advisor, where they're going to help you get set up on the program. They'll help you navigate the online study platform, which is called Canvas, and they'll help connect you with wider university support services that you'll have access to as well, like the careers team, the disability team, and the wellbeing teams, just to name a few. They'll also help you register for classes to make sure that you stay on track, make sure you have those deadlines readily available. They'll talk to you about your work commitments, your personal commitments, and anything else that you have going on in your life, and help you put together a study planner so that you have time to commit to the coursework and can be assured that you can complete those assignments on time. And I know many of our students really do appreciate this thoughtful approach. If you do have to take a break from the course, they'll be the person who assists you through this. So they'll help make sure that you stop at a good time and get back on the course at a good time. And then finally, they're a great point of contact to help you as you do the online course. I know many people just like that they know there's someone they can go to no matter what question that they have. So this is, I think, really the most exciting piece and something that's really important when deciding to join on to a master's degree. That's a big decision is, how can it really help you in the next steps of your life? So I think this is something, I said I do get really excited about this piece. One thing to note is that 100% of students from the Science Policy Research Unit or in work or further study 6 months after graduation. So this is really something that's quite incredible and really provides, and shows you that strength of the Science Policy Research Unit. As you can see, some of the potential careers include working in international organizations, government departments, local authorities, NGOs, businesses, independent consultancies, academia, and then the option to progress onto a PhD if that's something that you like to do. As a student, you will have full access to the Sussex network globally and can also engage with the careers and employability team. So the nature of the course being fully online with most of the students working in a relevant field, it's a really fantastic way for you to also network with other students and graduates who might possibly be working in an organization that you would also like to work for. As I mentioned earlier, there have been almost 600 students join the online Sustainable Development course since 2018. So that is a huge wealth of connections, and it's only going to grow. So it's a really great way to be engaged with others in the same sector. So just to give you a demonstration of where we had students join from, in Japan, I've actually worked with students and helped them join onto the course from branches of the United Nations, various government ministries in Japan, embassies, universities, research institutes, consulting firms like EY, development organizations like JICA. And then from around the world, this really does expand further to include many more organizations. When looking at corporates, we've had students from Google, Amazon, Shell, to name a few, additional branches of the United Nations and other organizations like the Asian Development Bank and the World Bank. So, upon completing this course, there are going to be many different career opportunities to explore and consider from the university as well as your peers. Okay. Now we're going to look at the entry requirements. So what we have we have something called a standard entry. And I'll go into what that looks like a little bit later on, but faculty require a bachelor's degree with a lower second class honors or a 2-2 or the international equivalent to join onto the course. If you're not sure if you have a bachelor's degree, what that is equal to in the UK system, please talk to your SIUK counselor and they'll be able to help assist you at that. This degree can be in any subject area. Faculty are really looking to make sure that you have the academic rigor to be successful in the online course. We also have something called a non-standard entry. So if you don't have a bachelor's degree or your grades were a little lower than what faculty are looking for, but if you have that relevant experience, you can be reviewed for that as well. And I'll go through that in a little bit more detail. And then international students may need to show proof of English, but there are also exemptions, but I'll talk to you about the specific documents next. Okay. So for the application requirements, for the standard applicants, if you have that 2-2 in any subject area, these are the documents that you're going to need to apply. You'll need those transcripts confirming your final grade. You'll need an updated CV, a personal statement, that's 1 page, the contact details of an academic or professional reference. We definitely accept professional references. So a manager, someone from your company, that would also be okay. A letter isn't required. We can just accept the email address, phone number, and contact details of that reference. But it's highly recommended to go ahead and get that letter if you have time to get one of those. And then the next and the final piece will be that English language confirmation. So I'll talk about the exemptions next, but if you need an English language test, we accept PTE Academic, IELTS, and TOEFL with the scores that you can see here. But there are exemptions. So if you completed your undergraduate degree fully in English from anywhere in the world, then you won't need an English language test. We'll just need confirmation from that university. If it was out, say you took a business degree in Japan that was completed in English, we would just need a letter from that university confirming you completed it fully in English. Or if you used English in your place of work, that's also great. We can accept a letter from your employer confirming that you have that you use English in the workplace. So these are really great exemptions that you can also consider. Now, if you're a standard applicant, this application process is very straightforward. I've had students who've been able to complete the application just in a few days. So it's very doable. And you will receive an admissions decision within 5 days if you are a standard applicant. So that's a very quick time. We do, however, always recommend submitting your application as soon as possible. This will help you confirm your place, and it does give you flexibility. I've had students who have applied for the program a year in advance. So just for an example, if you're interested in starting next year in 2022, you can actually go ahead and put your application in now to receive that admissions decision. And so then you know if you've been accepted or not and can really start to plan. And then it gives you that flexibility. If you actually have some free time that comes up sooner and want to start earlier, you could also do that. But there's going to be no commitment to do so until you're ready to join. And then the next thing for the non-standard applicant who doesn't have the bachelor's degree or the strong grades, you'll need the above documents, but you'll need to have 5 years of direct work experience to apply to the course. And you'll need to have that letter of recommendation. That will be a requirement. It will be very important that every aspect of the application is very strong if you are a non-standard applicant, because faculty take these very seriously. They want to make sure that students are the right fit for the course. And it's important that you are able to communicate that through the application process as well. I have worked with students who, on the first go, they're working in the development field for multilateral organization, and they weren't accepted on the course, but chatted to them, really pulled out some of the experiences that they were having in the workplace, and they were able to strengthen that application a bit and get accepted on to a later intake. So don't give up if you are a non-standard applicant. Definitely talk to your SAUK counselor if it's something that you're really interested in doing as part of your long-term life goals. Another important thing to consider is employer funding. So if you are working at the moment, this is something to keep in mind. Again, it's great that the tuition fees are broken down per module. However, we've also had many students who've gotten that financial support from their employer to join, because this course can really create an immediate impact in the work that you're doing. So if it's something that you're considering to approach your employer for funding, we do suggest the following. The first one is to do your research. First of all, clearly understand your business objectives and how this course aligns with those objectives. Look at the course modules, the learning outcomes, and really demonstrate how this can benefit your organization. Next, have a plan. Think about the best way to communicate this internally and to have a stronger influence. And then finally, talk to the decision maker. No matter your relationship with your manager or the decision maker, even if it's a casual relationship, make sure to schedule a formal meeting so that they know this is something you're taking seriously, and have a clear agenda on how this course can be a shared goal for both you and the organization. We found that if you take the approach that this isn't an individual request, but a request to benefit, the organization and is a shared goal, there tends to be those positive outcomes. And then be prepared for any responses that you might get, so that you are prepared for to talk to those points. Okay, so the application deadlines, there are two more intakes for this year. And I think the benefit of the online course is that there are 6 intakes per year. So there's many opportunities to get started. So for the next 2 intakes of this year are September and October. If it is something you would like to consider, we are still accepting applications until August 16th for the September intake, and then October 11th for the October intake. If you're a standard applicant with that 2-2, it's a very straightforward process. And also, again, keep in mind, if you're looking to apply for next year, 2022 or 2023 even, you can actually go ahead and put that application in now. There's going to be no commitment, but again, you'll receive that admissions decision so that you can already start to plan for your next steps, which we do encourage because there's no commitment. It really can't hurt. And on the flip side, if you do apply for the September intake this year and you think it's a good idea, but then it comes up to the start of classes and then you're not ready, you can always defer your application out as well. We've had students who've deferred their application for a year because they've had big things come up in their life and they just couldn't commit to the course. And that's something you would talk to your student success advisor about those deadlines and registering for different intakes. Okay, so the final slide, I recognize I've been talking to you for a while, so I hope that's okay. But these are some of the main key takeaways that we'd really like for you to think about as you finish this webinar and are able to reflect on this later on. There are 4 programs delivered online. Sustainable Development is the flagship program, but there's also Energy Policy, Corruption and Governance, and International Marketing. All of the programs follow the same structure. They all have 12 modules. You can only take 1 module at a time. You can complete the course in a minimum of 2 years or a maximum of 4 years. There is a lot of flexibility here. It's 100% delivered online. You have the flexible learning schedules and also those payment structures, so that you can discuss this with your employer as well, if that's something that you would like to do. You are given a dedicated student success advisor who will assist you throughout the entire master's program. The upcoming deadlines for the rest of this year are August 16th for the September deadline, and then October the 11th for the October intake. And then finally, if you are looking to go ahead and start that application, make sure to have a chat with your SIUK counselor and then use the link that is here to apply, but they'll also have that available to share with you as well. And again, we'll be sending you a copy of these slides, so you'll be able to access this through there as well. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Any questions? It's time for question and answer session.
Thank you so much, Kathy.
Oh, great.
ご質問がある方、チャットボックスからお願いいたします。もし発言されなかったらその旨教えてください。ミュートを解除させていただきますので。
Are there any questions? So I do have a few prepared. If that's something
Yes.
you want me to go through. Yeah, okay. So I will share a few of the most commonly asked questions that I tend to get when speaking to students. So I'll just have this prepared. So the first one is, how much interaction will I have with fellow students? So I would say, through the online portal, you can virtually meet up with your classmates, your peers, your academics, and it is highly interactive. And again, just as an example, and what we've seen with other students who've done the course, people in the virtual space tend to be very interactive, whether it's through chat or email. I think people are really looking to make those connections with others who have similar interests. So people do tend to have that involvement and interaction, which I think is quite good. The next one is there a graduation ceremony? So absolutely, the university warmly invites eligible students from the online programs who've completed the course to attend graduation ceremony on campus. These are usually held at a venue in Brighton in the UK. So hopefully in 2 years' time, once you've completed the course, travel will be back up and running and you'll be able to make it to campus. So you will be able to choose a ceremony that actually suits you better at Brighton. So it can be organized around other events. So it's really quite great. It's also a great way to meet your classmates in person, to meet the academics in person. Another question, I actually don't have it on here, is, if you start the program online, can you then go on campus? But you can't. So the online and the on-campus programs are very different. So if you start online, you'll need to stay in the online course. But if you do happen to be in the UK, you can definitely use all of the facilities on campus. You'll have a student ID card, so you can actually use that to access the libraries. We definitely encourage you to meet up with faculty, to take them for coffee and have a chat about the research that they're doing, attend any of the events that are happening there on campus. You'll have full access to that. Another important question is, does it say online on my diploma? So the qualification holds the same credibility as the on-campus course. It's taught by the same academics and has the same learning experience, which will contain the same academic rigor. Therefore, the word online is nowhere on your final certificate or your transcripts. So your degree will look the same as any on-campus student. And then the final question, I think, I try to touch on it a bit more, but people tend to ask this one again, is, do I have to attend the live webinars? So no. They are highly encouraged. We think they're a great way for that learning experience, but everything is recorded and optional to attend. So I would say those are some of the main questions that I tend to get. Okay. Anything else? I think. Oh.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, okay. Anything else? Anybody have a question? Well, if not, that's totally fine. Please do connect with your counselor. It would be great for you to ask them more questions, and they'll be able to follow up with you with all the information that we discussed today.
Okay, I'm going to send all the participants by email the presentation you gave me today.
Perfect.
Yeah, thank you so
Okay.
much, everyone. 今日はありがとうございました。じゃあこれでセミナーを終了させていただきます。ありがとうございました。Thank you, Kathy.
Thanks, everyone.